Hello and welcome. My name's Lindsay. I'm the Training Development Specialist here at Lifelink Workwell, and in today's session we're going to be looking at managing workplace stress. We're going to be diving into the tools and techniques for a balanced life. So what today's aim is to gain an understanding of different workplace stresses, the effects of stress on employees, and the processes involved in supporting staff through meaningful action plans. So what is workplace stress? So workplace stress is the adverse reaction that people have to excessive pressures or other types of demands placed on them. The stressors are a mixed kind of nature. They're both work and non-work related, particularly in today's complex societies. Employers have a duty to manage workplace related stressors. Non-work related stressors can't be managed through workplace stress risk assessments. However, support can definitely be given to your employees. Now, workers feel stress when they can't cope with work pressures and other issues. Employers should match demands to workers' skills and knowledge. And it's important to highlight that stress affects people differently. Factors like life skills, experience, age or disability, underlying health conditions, they all may affect whether a worker can cope or not. Some examples of the demands that people have placed on them in the workplace: tight deadlines, paperwork, disagreements with management or peers, lack of management skills, time management skills. So is there a difference between work-related stress and non-work-related stress? Yes, there is. And why is it important to differentiate the both? If a work-related stress is highlighted from a number of employees, changes within the organisation may be needed to make or help support that stress that's happening. There can be more effective targeting of the situation. Proper investigations can happen. And when it's a non-work related stress, we can signpost individuals to the most appropriate resource. For example, counselling, financial guidance, to name but a few. Now, it's important to note that to implement an effective stress management system also allows the business to target interventions by identifying the factors which are causing the stress. And a stress management system also ensures that the correct outcomes can be reached. Again, important to note that work-related stress is not just a matter of an individual's discomfort. It can be considered a legitimate industrial illness that can have significant implications, i.e., mental health issues. Now, stress reaction is not a negative. It's when your body reacts when an experience or when it experiences a collection of changes known as your stress response or your fight or flight response. Now, your stress response is a collection of physiological changes that occur when you face a perceived threat. And that is when you face situations when you feel the demands outweigh your resources to successfully cope. And here are some examples of work-related stress and non-work-related stress. On the left-hand side, you'll see work-related stress can include low salary, fear of being paid off, few opportunities for growth or advancement, excess workload, poor communication. Non-work-related stress, debt, bereavements, relationship, ill health, caring for family members. Now, these are just some examples. The list can sometimes be endless. So why is work-related stress classed as an industrial illness? Within the scope of occupational health, Work-related stress falls under the terms industrial illness, as modern workplaces can exert high pressures on their workforces, and this can lead to adverse physical and psychological effects. And when these pressures are not managed by the organisation appropriately, the results can be a detriment to individuals' health, both mental and physical. And the impact on the organisation can also be damaging, with high levels of sickness absence, staff turnover, and staff errors occurring. So from a legal perspective, recognising work-related stress as an industrial illness really highlights the seriousness of the issue and the need for an effective stress management system. And if this is not followed or implemented, it can result in legal liabilities and penalties. And recently, this has been highlighted. Other organisations have been fined in the excess of £4 to £6 million for not having the right procedures in place. So in recent studies within the UK, it was found that in 2021 to 22, 914,000 workers were suffering from work-related stress. That's the equivalent to 2.5% of the working age population in the UK. 17.1 million working days are lost per annum for work-related stress issues. And if you divide that by 365 days a year, it would equate to 46,575 years. According to NHC, the National Hazards Campaign, they estimate that 600 suicides a year are related to workplace pressures. So these statistics show how important it is from an employer point of view that work-related stressors are being supported. So what are the signs and symptoms of stress? Here are a few. Rapid heart rate, increased blood pressure, feeling overwhelmed. People ignore tasks. They get emotional over workload. Fatigue, difficulty sleeping, poor problem solving. Fear, they go into fight or flight response. Staying off work, being more argumentative or aggressive when asked to complete a task. Persistent obsessive thoughts. Longer term changes in behaviour, including social withdrawal, feelings of sadness, frustration, loss of emotional control, the inability to rest, and self-medication or substance misuse. So on reflection of this list, some of the signs and symptoms aren't physically recognisable. And there are more common signs of stress which can be seen: self-medicating. This refers to attempts to deal with stress or depression and pain, physical or emotionally, or intense emotions with the help of drugs, prescribed or otherwise, alcohol, and other substances, and without the guidance of a doctor. Now, you don't have to be diagnosed with a medical condition to self-medicate. Also, there can be changes to appearance, from the way someone dressed before to how they dress now, knowing that they're under stress. For example, someone that always wore a suit to work starts to kind of wear more dowdy and scruffier looking clothes. And also someone who once looked immaculate stops looking after themselves. It can be seen on their face with a dull complexion, not grooming nor getting their hair or nails looked after. Many workers are unwilling to talk about stress at work because of the stigma that stress has. But stress is not a weakness and can happen to anyone. So when it comes to managing work-related stress, it can be managed in two ways. We can be reactive and we can be proactive. Now, both very much have a place in managing work-related stressors. So when we think of being reactive, there are strategies and techniques that provide immediate but temporary relief. Reactive strategies include things like the use of muscle relaxation, deep breathing, visualization, and they're especially effective in helping people to cope during a particular stressful event or situation. So being reactive can calm situations, but only in the short term. For a more long-term approach, it's vital to install proactive interventions. So focus on prevention and early intervention is not just responding when a problem becomes significant or when someone goes on sick leave. Other ways to be proactive are identifying the risks, decide who might be harmed and how, gather the data, do risk assessments, evaluate the risks, what are the results of those risk assessments, record the findings and create action plans. And you don't just leave it there, you monitor and review consistently for improvements. And when you review regularly, you ensure whether changes are required or no changes are required. It's important to be aware of your process to support staff. The earlier a workplace stress problem is tackled, the less impact that it will have. If you or a colleague is having problems, talk or encourage them to talk to someone. Differentiate what's work-related and what's not where you can. And Lifelink Workwell provide a range of short and long-term counselling services, and the type of counselling provided is what would be most effective therapy for the employee. And this could also include group therapy, such as reflective practice, which focuses on specific roles, for example, stressful and emotionally demanding roles. The blue light services, first responders, carers, caring professions, prison services, teaching staff. We also offer wellbeing group work, stress awareness programs, sleep hygiene, nutrition, exercise, relaxation. All of these contribute to support and stress management. Consultation. Lifelink Workwell can look at the health service or your health service to ensure that employees are supported through all the services that you make available to them. In addition to all of this, you may have an employee assisted programme or occupational health. Lifelink Workwell can work alongside these and enhance the support to your employees. As well as that support that's offered, there's external options that can be provided and guidance for individuals with workplace or non-workplace stress. Let's take the individuals, for example. Getting more exercise, being socially connected, time outdoors and in nature, taking up a hobby that they used to do or they want to do. All of these can help when it comes to calming stress. Online, there's online wellbeing programs, community support groups. When it comes to the NHS have the GP surgeries, carers, referrals for one-to-one counselling. There's lots out there, and it's to be or ensure that you're aware of them so you can highlight to your employees whenever they require more support where they can get that support. So what we've covered today is what is workplace stress, the difference between work-related stress and non-work-related stress, the signs and symptoms of stress, and how you can support staff with work-related stress. That brings us to the end of our session. I want to thank you so much for watching today. And if you've got any questions regarding what we've covered, then please don't hesitate to contact